Well, let's go to Tom's exclusive story. Theresa May, you say on your front page, and this is the inside pages, could suffer a 200-vote defeat when the Commons decides on her Brexit deal. And with less than 2 weeks until the crucial meaningful vote, Cabinet ministers are considering urging her to abandon it. Really?
Yeah, it's true. So the idea is, and this is not all the Cabinet, we've learned today that most of the Cabinet, if not all the Cabinet, apart from Theresa May, think she's going to lose this vote in 13 days' time. The reason being, and the numbers are there, this is our estimate, talking to a whole lot of different MPs today, but a lot of papers pretty much agree on this. You've only got 221 MPs at the moment who are going to vote for this deal, because half the Tory backbenchers, in fact more than half the Tory backbench, are going to vote with the opposition to bring it down.
So how many Tories do you reckon it'll be? I mean, it was 95 yesterday. Are we pushing over 100 now? Tories that have voted?
I'm told it's up to about 97, 98 who publicly express opposition. But I know I met a Tory MP tonight who I know reasonably well, who told me he's also going to vote against the deal. He hasn't publicly declared that yet. So I think the number will probably be over 100.
Labour want a general election, so they're going to vote it down. Except some of them might be swayed by the fact that they know some of their core really don't want Brexit. That's true. The Labour numbers, I can't help feel, have got a bit of movement on them. But
the only problem with that is true. There will be some Labour MPs who passionately believe in Brexit and don't want to betray the cause. But every Labour MP that votes to prop up this deal and thereby propping up Theresa May's government is going to get themselves deselected. As day follows night, momentum will be after them as quick as a rat goes up a drain pipe, and they'll deselect them. So it's a career-defining move.
But even if some of her cabinet, and what we're talking about, 3 or 4, maybe more, three or four is in your story, even if they are telling her to not,
sources like that,
to not,
good effort.
Even if they're saying drop the meaningful vote, that's not any advice. You can't. There's no way she's going to drop the meaningful vote. There'd be a massive outcry. Parliament fought really hard to get this meaningful vote, so they are going to get the meaningful vote. And what none of us actually knows, if it does get voted down, what happens next? Because we are out of time. I mean, we are bang up to Christmas at that point.
So their argument is, you can lose this meaningful vote. If you lose it by 10, 20, maybe we can have another crack, maybe we can try and get something else out of the EU. If you lose it by 200 MPs, that's catastrophic, and there is no way she continues Prime Minister. And if you know you are basically the Light Brigade charging into the Valley of Death, up against the Russian guns, and you are facing certain defeat, what is the point in doing that? And that's the argument. Now, that doesn't mean they've got a plan B. By the way, if you talk to the Cabinet, every single different Cabinet you talk to has got a different plan B. What then they should do? Renegotiate, go on to EA, have a people's vote. But
I mean, it's a slight worry that they are actually...
Don't bring down the government by doing what you know is going to get yourself to...
But it's a slight worry. They seem to be repeating the same thing that happened around the referendum, that they thought Project Fear would work. So 150 billion if we crash out, lost to the economy.
Well, you're calling it Project Fear. The Treasury would just be saying
they
that
wouldn't. But you know, they didn't during the referendum call it Project Fear. The Brexiteers called it Project Fear. It is worrying that Theresa May seems to be relying on that again, and it didn't work last time.
Well, this was a promise she made to parliamentarians, isn't it? Or the Treasury made to parliamentarians to get those figures out there, I suppose. If she abandons the parliamentary vote, that surely is the end of her leadership anyway, because you know, how do you not listen to the will of the House of Commons? Well,
I think if she loses this vote, she's in awful trouble, quite frankly, politically anyway. This is 2 years of her work. This is her judgment, which will have proved, if she loses this vote, and by a lot of votes, proved to be manifestly wrong. Also, it means having to do something else. It means almost certainly having to go back to the EU, first of all, to renegotiate, to ask for something else, but before you even do that, to ask for a time extension, because, as Emily's just said, there is no time left to do anything. We've got to pass all this different legislation.
You don't think the time extension will be first? They won't get rid of her straight away, because...
Correct, but the EU to give that extension...
You can't help feeling the Tory party doesn't want to completely massacre itself. I mean, I know the way it behaves, actually, sometimes thinks it does want to completely kill itself. But
remember, the EU will say, well, you want to extend Article 3. We're fed up with this. We want to go and save Italian banks and save the Eurozone, etc. We don't want to talk Brexit any longer. Give us a really good reason why we need to extend your time and keep on coming back to these tedious summits and talk to you. So she can't just go back to say, look, I'm a bit screwed, I couldn't get it through the Commons, please can I have 6 more months or a year? And the what next, which we can't agree on,
but they don't want us to crash out either. That's not good for them.
It's not great for them, but remember...
But I think they will go back to the negotiating
Remember, they're in a reasonably bloody-minded mood. and they have exacted a very hard deal on us pour and corriger les entrées
they're not,
to make sure
not
nobody else
want
takes this silly mistake and wants
they're
to
not
leave
gonna
the club ever
they're
again.
not going to want to
Five-star.
hurt their own industries. I mean, that is a fact. When it comes down to it, they're not going to want no deal.
You're clutching at
Because that is-
straws all the way through this, Emily.
Oh, I'm
I can feel it.
trying. I'm desperately
Let's go to the Daily Mail,
trying.
shall we?